the commercial viability of the bolt gun in a shotgun chambering has certainly diminished. I'm positive by greater than 50% over the past decade. These things feed like a Swiss watch too. I mean, they rip slugs out, fired holes, unfired holes, doesn't matter. Like just butter.
And action. What is up, everybody? Mark on the mic, Mr. Ryan Muckenhirn across from me. And today we're talking about two things that go together like, well, frankly, Ryan, I don't really think they go together. And that's bolt actions and shotguns.
I see why you said action. He says to me before we go, he goes, okay, I got an intro. He's like, don't criticize me. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you. We've got one on the table here today.
I'm going to, hold on.
What?
I think we should make, and this should be, I love doing this, by the way. I just love saying random things on this podcast to like stimulate the listeners.
Sure.
Because then trends happen. I think we should have a whole bunch of podcast apparel. Limited quantity.
Well,
and
that'd be fun.
Yeah, and like special stuff. Because.
Well, we did a little. We've done a little. We
dabbled. We had the hoodie.
Yeah. All right, we did
By
one thing.
We had 99 of one thing.
Yeah, we did one thing one time. Yeah.
So you know how I have a tendency to say it depends? Yeah, but I kind of started it.
Oh, like that's your thing now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I thought it would be cool if it was like we had a Vortex Nation podcast logo and then just like in parentheses, ... It depends.
It depends, yeah.
Yep. And then I would like one as a Vortex Nation podcast logo. And it's just, I'm here for the intros.
We are I didn't have the second one, but yes, the It Depends shirt I thought would be like, that's crossed my mind actually.
10 likes.
Let's face it, that is a valid answer.
It is. And you know what? It depends.
It depends.
Mark, this is a compelling topic.
Are bolt action shotguns, do they make sense? It depends.
That's correct.
And I think it's depending less these days, actually.
Yes and no.
But they were necessary.
Yes and no. We can get into that a little bit. You're mostly correct.
Let's just talk about them in general. Well, which actually the one that you have here, I guess of the bolt action shotguns that I am aware of, this is the finest of the bunch.
There's one more.
What am I missing?
It's a custom gun manufacturer.
Okay. Well,
but they're a production model. You can still buy them. It's called Tar Hunt.
Okay.
Direct to consumer.
Are they from New Zealand?
No. Bolt action slug gun. Proprietary action. Very well put together gun. Very, very expensive. And,
that's probably why I haven't looked.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on Tar Hunt's website. Because every so often, like, I just like neat guns. Whether they have use is almost doesn't matter to me. It's just mechanically they're neat, or they represent a different thing for me. Right?
Ian always brings some mechanically neat guns.
He brings some doozies to the table. And I know where he's at. So here we go. The Tar Hunt RSG, it's 20 gauge, or RSG 12 gauge. 3,900 gets you in the door on a Tar Hunt. And really cool guns. Very cool guns.
Let me see it. Can I see it?
Yeah, I mean it looks like a regular.
It doesn't look that different than this A-bolt.
No, certainly not. But it
doesn't look $3,900 different to me.
Well, these suckers are getting pretty expensive now too.
Okay, but like let's talk about like while it was being produced, because again, this is a
when they were
piece
new,
of history now.
And I had to think back when I was digging this thing out of the safe this morning. I had to think back if they had discontinued them by the time I started working in the firearms industry. And I don't believe I ever sold one. So,
they started making the A-bolt in '85, right?
Well, A-bolt rifle.
Right. I'm just saying, like the A-bolt, and then I don't know when did this thing come into.
It would have been in the mid '90s. And then the discontinuation, because I started working there in 2005. And so the discontinuation, is that right? 2005 or 2004? I don't remember now. But the discontinuation predated me. And then there was a period of time in which it didn't exist. They reintroduced it. So this is a reintroduction that I bought.
Oh, interesting.
And at the time, I think they were about $800. And now, if you can find them, this is specifically, for those of you listening, not watching, what is on the table here is a Browning A-bolt stalker.
I was going to say, would it be the composite stalker?
Yep.
I feel like that's what it is. Yeah.
The stalker 12-gauge bolt-action shotgun. It bears 100% semblance to a standard A-bolt, save for a comically large barrel, a very, very large diameter bolt,
Yep.
and a what appears to be an extended kind of perch belly bottom metal.
You know what's interesting about the bolt, though, and it really is almost akin to like the fat bolt, like from a diameter.
Yeah, it's bigger, but
it's a little bigger, but it doesn't look too different than what you might find on, kind of like I guess like your
the Ruger American.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yep. And like the quintessence of this rifle, and I call it a rifle, even though it fires a shotgun cartridge.
It's a fully rifled slug, or fully rifled barrel, I should say, right?
Yeah, it is a Browning A-bolt.
Yeah,
everything about it is a Browning A-bolt.
It's probably why I like it.
Yeah, and it's a marvelous gun. It really is marvelous. But yeah,
May I?
Please, Mark, by all means. How do you want to get into this?
Well, I just want to look at it first.
Oh, okay.
The magazine, or hinge floor plate box magazine.
Oh, just like you're aware of, buddy. Everything's the same. Well, if you're gonna kind of half pull it out, you might as well all pull it out.
Well, it doesn't want to, so I didn't want to force it.
It's fine, then just leave it be. It's all good. God, 2 seconds in your hands. Here, lean this over here. There, now shut it with some zeal. There.
I just didn't, I didn't want to.
That thing's been beat to tar, man. I've hunted.
It doesn't even work properly.
I've hunted the wheels off that thing, damn near.
Okay,
there you go.
There we go. You do have to just force it.
All A-bolt all the way. So the same goofy hinge floor plate detachable box magazine, which truthfully,
it's not goofy.
I came to love.
Okay, thank you.
It's not expedient for quick magazine changes. It's very expedient to load, not from the ejection port. So how I like A-bolts is to hinge that floor plate down. That magazine is hung on the floor plate, and then I like to load them right there and then close it up.
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Detaching the kind of sub-magazine assembly, I mean, it is truly just the magazine. And then reattaching it to the floor plate, it's kind of a pain.
I don't know. I always liked it.
You're a big A-bolt guy, though. Big Browning guy.
I am. 2 in the mag?
2 in the mag.
Yep. 2 in the mag, 1 in the pipe. What were you getting for accuracy out of this thing? Oh, let me ask you this. Because this is kind of like, we're talking about bolt action shotguns in general. It's kind of a gun highlight. We have it here. You had a specific need.
Yeah, this isn't even my first bolt action slug gun.
Okay.
It's my third.
What did you have previously then?
So, Mossberg 512 and a Marlin 695.
Okay.
Yep. And then this was my pinnacle upgrade.
Are either of those still in production?
Not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so. The only one that I'm aware of, mainstream, that's still in production is the Savage.
Yeah.
The 220.
And 212.
And 212. Yeah. And they have, 2012, 2012 gauge. Boy, they got
no. I've had 4.
Well, you had one of those too?
I had a Savage 210F, which was the predecessor to the 212. So the 210F Slug Warrior. The F was synthetic.
Well, I guess I'm drawing a conclusion here that the 12 and 20 here denote the gauge.
Correct.
Was the 210 a 10 gauge?
No, it was a 12. At the time, so 20, I remember when the 20s came on scene.
When I was thinking of a 10 gauge slug gun, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. So I was there when the 20s came on scene, when Savage released the 220. so I'm from central Minnesota, and where I hunt or where I lived and where I hunted was shotgun, muzzleloader, or handgun, or archery. Those were your 4 means of take that you were allowed to use. You couldn't use a rifle. And we sold an inordinate sum of slug guns. Like what I cut my teeth on from like a scope mounting and setup procedure was slug guns.
I mean, I'd have to think that's what most guys were using for deer.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would order like 50 870 20 and 12 cantilevered slug guns, and then 20 1187 cantilevered slug guns, 20 and 12. And then we had barrels from Hastings. We had barrels from Remington. We had barrels from Mossberg. Mossberg made like OEM barrels for other gun companies. And man, did we sling slug guns. And I mounted an unbelievable amount of Bushnell 1 3/4 to 5 scopes on slug guns. And then we'd set them up as packages. And then we had customers come in and like, hey, I want one of those 220s, or I want one of those 870s. And I do a ton of those packages a year. And then my boss, the guy who got me kind of started in the industry, was such a neat guy. He's like, hey, go figure out what slugs these guns like. So he'd like hand one to me and like send me off to the range. And then I'd have this smattering of slugs to go shoot and figure out what gun liked what. And so when the customer would come in and they're like, yeah, I want one of these, what slugs are great? And it's like, oh, we tested the 870 12 gauge cantilever guns, Remington buckhammers, unbelievable performance. Ballistic coefficient of a negative something. So that slug is pretty cool. It's a full bore slug, like on bore contact. And it looks like a hammer. And, or light field EXP, hybrid EXPs, were awesome. Blue shell, white box. We sold a ton of those. Winchester Supremes, sold a ton of those. And it was so cool. I hate shooting slugs. And I had to shoot so many slugs back in the day. It gets better though, because then, like usually the 20s, we were selling to youth and ladies. Like,
okay.
Yeah. And like people are like, wow, it's 20 gauge. Can I really kill a deer? Then the Savage 220 came out, and people were like, boy, did they miss the mark. They released a 20 gauge. What are you going to do with it? And then Remington came to market with what is still the best, as far as I know, still the best load in the Savage 220, which is called the AccuTip, which is a 20 gauge AccuTip. They make a 2 3/4 and a 3-inch version. And we got an early sample of the 220 from our very dear friend at Evernham & Associates, our Savage rep. He brought one in. He's like, yep, you guys can goof with it or whatever. I don't think he'd even shot it. And then we ended up with some of that Premier AccuTip ammo. And my boss and I, he's like, Ryan, we're going to the range today. And I never got to go to the range with him. It's just great. He's a Colorado School of Trades gunsmith and just the most wonderful guy. And so just like spending an afternoon with him was super cool. And so we go out there with these AccuTips. And I think I put like a Leopold 2-7 on it. And it's pre-Vortex, of course. And we go out there and he shoots the first 3 rounds, fell in about an inch. And I'm like, there's no way that a slug gun just did that. There's no way.
That's impressive.
And then we did it again. And then we did it again.
Well, you get 3 slugs that are within an inch, and you got a nice, cutting a pretty big, nice hole in the paper.
Yeah. I mean, it is, in every sense of the word, just a very large caliber rifle. And so we started incorporating these 220s into the rotation, and people just started gobbling them up. And what they fell in love with is that it's not half the recoil of a 12-gauge contemporary, but it's not far off. So significantly less recoil. And actually, if you really start running like trajectory, the 20 is superior. So more aerodynamic projectile. The recoil is certainly better. The lethality is nuts. I mean, we're still talking about like a 40 caliber slug.
Right.
Well, actually, the AccuTips I think were bigger than that. they might have been a 45. I think the 12 gauge AccuTips are like a 50. And just paramount performance out of those things. And we started selling those like wildfire. Like the folks that were still buying the pumps and the semi-autos, usually were, their hunting style was a lot less tree stand or box blind and a lot more ground pounding.
On the go.
Yeah. And then we still sold dozens and dozens and dozens of rifle barrels for somebody's Mossberg 500 or Remington 1100, 1187, Remington 870, what have you. And like that was still like really, really popular. But it wasn't long, and those 220s, man, they became like the premier choice. And they have held fast since then. So that's like probably circa 06, 07, somewhere in that time frame. I'd have to look at release dates to be totally positive. And they really haven't let up. Like they're still a wildly popular gun for Savage. And Savage has updated them over the years. They've refined them a little bit, better stocks. The AccuTrigger system has been standard on them since day one. The accuracy has not gone downhill. The reliability has gone uphill, and they've really made quite a splash with the 220 and 212 series.
Well, and they come in any flavor you want.
Yep.
You want a blued synthetic, got it. Camo synthetic, got it. Thumb hole, got it.
Yep. Stainless, they've got the full works. Oh, I wonder if they still do this.
This is a laminate wood stock here. I mean, laminate stainless. Yeah, it's pretty. They aren't messing around.
So the big question is, what's the point?
Well, and I'll go back to why you got this Browning, or probably the other ones too, is because you were in a zone or your state mandated statewide that you could use a slug gun, a muzzleloader, or a pistol.
Yeah, so
of that trio, really, realistically, for most folks, the slug gun is going to be the choice. I'd say these days, other than one shot from an accuracy standpoint, lethality and distance, the muzzleloader does give the shotgun a pretty good run for its money.
Does. Yeah.
But today, most of these states that had regulations like that, it is a thing of the past, and they've rolled straight wall cartridges in there as well, which again, if you give me the pick of the litter between, I'll say, a slug gun and a straight wall cartridge, I'm going to do something like a 350 Legend.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So in Minnesota, it wasn't a statewide mandate. It was a partial state mandate. So
I think that's how Wisconsin was too. I think it was
like
the
northern,
southern region where it was, slugs and things like that.
And
but that they got rid of that like right before I got here.
Sure.
Thank goodness.
And Minnesota just did the same. So for the 2026 and beyond seasons, like where my house is, my folks' place, get its egg. There's some small, farm plots and wood parcels and things like this. But this all Wild West now. You can shoot a rifle if you want. If you want to go out there with your 300 Win Mag, have at it. And so in Minnesota, it was the I-94 corridor that kind of bisects the state at about a 45-degree angle from Minneapolis to up by Fargo. Everything south of the 94 corridor went to slug, and then everything north went to rifle. Well, I'll tell you this little dirty secret too. We were gaming that system way back when with Thompson Center Encores, XP 100s, Savage Strikers, which was a bolt action pistol, similar to an XP 100. We were doing that anyway. So like there were locals that were hunting deer with 308 Encore pistols. And then when the pistol brace thing became a thing.
Oh dear.
One very good friend of mine, I won't mention his full name, but I call him D. And if he listens, he'll know who I'm talking about. Built I think it was an 11.5 AR-10. 308. And it was like totally legit, right? Like by the letter of the law. And he killed some just slammer whitetails with that gun.
Oh, that is an effective pistol.
Yeah, slammer whitetails. Yeah, shooting 11.5, 308. Worked really good. But you're 100% correct. So, you know, when I started deer hunting with a firearm, the first gun that I had, if I recall correctly, that I had bought specifically to do this, was a Remington 870 cantilever gun, and I was shooting buck hammers out of it, and it was a good gun. It shot very well, and you know, I couldn't have been more pleased with the performance relative to my level of, you know, ability. And then where I was hunting pretty often, so we've got some family property in kind of a different part of the state, about 2 hours from where my folks live. There's a couple places on there where I'd have like 100 to 125 yard shot opportunity. And it wasn't so easy as saying I could get closer, because the terrain dictated that I necessarily might not be able to. And so the first bolt gun that I bought, I believe, was the Mossberg. And it was actually great. So Hornady had just come out with the SST slugs.
Okay.
And the Mossberg came in on a trade, very gently used. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. They were ported barrel. They had a detachable box magazine, synthetic gun. They're nothing fancy looking, slightly crude. And that thing shot awesome. I mean, it shot beautifully. And I really fell in love with it. And then I remember the first deer I took with it was a very large white-tailed doe. And, you know, I should get OnX out sometimes and figure out how far that shot was. And I was hunting in a ground blind, and I had to take a behind-the-back left-handed shot on her. And I tagged myself.
With a mirror? Like, what do you...
No. So, like, she was behind me, and I had to, like, I couldn't turn in the blind without making a ton of noise. So I took the gun in my left hand, and then I shot over my shoulder like this.
Okay.
And I caught myself in the face with the optic.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, like laid myself out.
Ouch.
And, you know, she made it a short distance.
Did it cut you?
Bad.
Ugh.
Like hilariously bad. And, you know, facial wounds bleed like crazy, ton of vascularity in your face. And I'm like, well, I should go collect that deer. And, like, it was bad enough that, like, I'm sitting there after the shot, and, like, the Tweety birds are going around my head. And all you can hear is trip, 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 trip onto the leaves. And so, you know, mitigated that, and I go to collect that deer.
It's like, oh, quite the blood trail. No, that's me.
Yeah. And, of course, I just gore all over my face. And my grandfather had a stand a couple 100 yards from where I was, and he'd heard the shot. I think he'd had enough for the day, so he crawled down, and he had an expectation that if I shoot, I just simply didn't miss. And so he meets me up at kind of our little trailhead. And, of course, I just look like hell. And he's like, what'd you do?
I mean, you do have to love the day of, you know, no cell phones. It wasn't like,
Nope.
hey, was that you? Did you shoot?
Nope.
You know, blah, blah, blah.
No, Gramps never had a mobile phone.
Maybe radios, you know, sometimes.
Couldn't use them.
Yeah. So if you need to investigate, get down and look.
Yeah, take a walk. And so he comes up, and he's looking at me. He's like, boy, he got you good. And, like, laid me open. And so I had that gun. That was the Mossberg. Then I bought the Marlin because I really liked the Mossberg, and the Marlins looked better. I don't know that mechanically they were any different, but it had a wood stock. It had cut checkering in it. It looked kind of fancy. And that gun was good, not as good. I ended up selling that to a buddy of mine who ended up killing one of the coolest 12-point bucks that you've ever seen in your life. Very, very narrow, dense rack. Like, his inside spread was like this. And he, you know, this is before we were
about 9 inches looked like.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Like, possibly less than 12 for sure. And
was he old or young?
so that's what we think. This is before we had the cognizance to like understand like dental aging. And I'm like, I didn't even know that it was a thing. We were in like, we might've been we were in high school. And so he kills this buck. It's got stickers all over it, and it's got like little drop tines on it. It's like if you took like a 170-inch Goliath whitetail that it's got trash on it, like beam structure, mass distribution all up through the tines, like everything was exactly what you would expect out of like a phenomenal Eastern Iowa whitetail or a South Central Wisconsin whitetail, and you just scaled it.
You're like, oh, is that one of those baby booner reproductions? No, that's just
exactly correct.
That's the horns.
And so when you look at that rack,
Antlers.
Call them horns. We'll call them horns.
Antlers for the person that was going to comment.
Yeah. And he killed it with that, and then I ended up with a 210F because I wanted to try it, and ultimately the 210F won out because that gun was even more accurate than the Mossberg, had better refinements than the Mossberg, did not feed very well. Yeah, so it was a 2-shot gun. It was not a load the magazine and go. It was 2 rounds. 3 would guaranteed it would not cycle. And so I kept that 210 for a while, and then I got pretty heavily involved with muzzle loading, and then that kind of took over, and I departed ways with the 210. And then I moved out here, and of course you can use a rifle out here, so why wouldn't you? And I really didn't have a need for a slug gun. I also have like an 870 that's set up with a cantilever barrel on it that I've got a red dot on. So, if I did go back home and I was hunting, usually I was the designated brush buster, and I'm the one crawling through the sawgrass and cattails and things like that. Cause, my grandfather, well, actually by that time my grandfather wasn't hunting anymore, but my uncle was older and like, yeah, just send the boy, he'll flush him out. I had a Winchester 1300 for a very short bit. And, but anyway, so I move out here, and then I start hunting Minnesota again on like farmland country, like pretty open fields. And my hunting partner has one of these. He's had a couple of them over the years.
They will.
Yeah. And always, that was like his premier choice, and remarked at how unbelievably accurate they were. And he was shooting a now discontinued slug. It was Federal's 3-inch Barnes expander. Oh. Mm-hmm. And he's killed some deer over 2. Wow. Yep. And it was touting these things, and then
and by 2 you mean 200 yards.
200 yards. Yeah. And I'd have to ask him what his furthest was. I thought he had one that was a wild poke, and he's a hell of a rifleman too. So it goes without saying. But when they became available again, he called me and he told me like, "Hey, they make them again. Like there's a run of them available through an outfit called CDNN," and I thought, well, yeah, like why wouldn't I? Because I've always wanted one after I learned about them, the novelty of the design and the elegance of the gun. And so, I bought it, immediately, and got it in my hands and started working with it, and I fell in love with it. Like it's a super cool gun. I've killed a small handful of whitetails with them. I killed one of my best bucks with it.
Did you get that back yet?
No. It's at a different taxidermist. Okay. It should be done shortly.
It was only about 10 years ago.
That one was only 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other one was 10.
Forgive me.
Yeah, the other one was 10. So that one will be in hand probably around the December timeframe, from what I understand. Both of them will be. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them because they don't fit in my house.
No, you can find a spot for them.
Yeah, you'd think that.
You got plenty of wall space.
It's the ceiling space that jeopardizes the operation. Point is, that buck, I want to say was 100.
Are you living in the crawl space?
Kind of. You've never been in my big house.
No.
Yeah, you were in the little house. Little house was better for that kind of thing.
Big house should have bigger walls then.
You'd think. That was, I think, 167 yards is what I killed that buck with this gun. So the Barnes expander loading from Federal was off market by the time that I took possession of this. And so I couldn't find a contemporary that matched that gun or that ammunition. So I started with the Hornady SSTs in it, and the full house load 300 grain SST, like 2,000 feet per second.
It's nothing to sneeze at.
No, untenable recoil, but accuracy really wasn't good.
Oh, it was not.
It was not. And so I called my buddy Jeremy down at Hornady, who was instrumental in the development of that slug, and kind of bounced off him what was going on. And he's like, yeah, basically what he thinks it is the lands and grooves of this particular barrel and the wad are not getting along. And he says, but try the lights. So they make an SST light that's a 300 grainer at I think 1550 or 1600, somewhere in there. And I may be misquoting that. I bought a case of them and have several left, but they shoot like it's an honest minute gun.
Incredible.
I've shot it to 300 yards.
That's impressive.
I thought about taking it pronghorn hunting.
I mean, I love the Razor HD Gen 2 1-6 that you have on top.
It's worn a couple things.
But to me, it sounds like you need something you can dial. I mean, you can dial the scope too,
Yeah.
but really stretch its legs.
Old friend of mine that used to work at Hornady, he killed a pronghorn with a 220. And that's kind of what the impetus for the idea was. It's like, I should take that pronghorn hunting. Because
You certainly could.
Oh yeah, I mean, trajectory it's actually superior to my 45-70 just because I'm shooting a big flat, a little faster on the 45-70, but not as aerodynamic. And but it is, for that country, it is a force multiplier. When I'm in more open terrain, and of course, I could hunt timber with it too. If I'm pushing deer, and they're getting up and moving, sometimes it's nicer to have a little bit of a quicker repeater like a pump or semi-auto. But then again, like when we hunt whitetails here in Wisconsin, there's still a lot of Remington 760s and 7600s and BARs rolling around. There's a lot of guys that hunt that style with a bolt gun.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. These things feed like a Swiss watch too. I mean, they absolutely.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it rips slugs out, fired holes, unfired holes, doesn't matter. Like just butter. So it really, like, my hat is off to the engineers at Browning that came up with this one, with the extractor and ejector mechanism. It is superior to everything else that is out there. They do not seem to be sensitive to ammunition from a function standpoint. They are sensitive to ammunition from an accuracy standpoint. And to a degree, it seems a little bit more so than like a centerfire would be.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the wad.
I was going to say, there's a few extra things
Sabo,
going on there.
Me, not the wad, but the Sabo.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I've also shot. I've shot buckhammers out of it. I've never fired an AccuTip out of it. I've shot light field hybrids. I've shot Winchester Supremes. What else I shot out of it was Federal True Balls. So a rifled slug. Those things shot great.
Interesting.
Yeah, True Ball low recoil. Like, they hammer. If I didn't have, much more than about 100-yard shot, that would be a really, really, really good way to go. And contrary to popular belief, you can shoot rifled slugs out of a rifled barrel and your gun is not going to blow up and the slug doesn't spin the other direction. And dirty secret, rifled slugs don't spin when they leave a smooth bore anyway. So they just come out. But through a rifle
doesn't
bore,
spin the other direction like toilet water in Australia.
Correct.
Then?
Yeah, I heard all sorts of that kind of stuff
according to The Simpsons.
When I was coming up. Yeah, no, you can't shoot a rifled slug in a barrel. The rifling's on the wrong side. It'll twist your barrel apart. It will not, actually. Oftentimes they shoot better than Sabo contemporaries, so it's worth investigating that. But so while I used it with good frequency for a long time, it really was a spectacular solution, as were the others that I had, whether it was the Marlin, the Mossberg, or the Savage. And to your point, though, many of the states around us here in Wisconsin, like Iowa, is a really paramount example or benchmark example. So forever and a day, they were slug or muzzleloader, whole state, right? And I think that's what bred a lot of archers down there.
Sure.
And I think that's
and also
their
seasons,
structure
as far as timing.
Yeah. So they allowed straight walls a few years ago, and then those sneaky devils, they'll also allow anything over 35 caliber. So I've put together a good handful of 35 Whalens for hunting in the straight wall. You can use a 35 Whalen, 358 Winchester, 356 Winchester, 375 H&H, 375 Ruger, whatever you want. If it's 35 or larger, rock and roll, which is cool.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So when they went to straight walls,
maybe I need to burn my Iowa points on a late season hunt and finally actually have a real excuse to own a 375 H&H.
Correct. How would you like a 600-yard opportunity? Sure.
Whatever.
Yep. So when that happened, and I don't know that they were the first state. I think maybe Indiana actually was. But when that happened, I think by like populace and popularity, all of a sudden the slug market started to decline rapidly, because then it was them. It was, I think, parts of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Minnesota never went straight wall, but now they went center fire, and like the times are changing.
Well, they are. And again, brief Google search, right? But I was like, how many states are still like slug only?
There's some northeastern states too.
Well, the only one I could find was New York.
New York, yep. I ran into a lot of, so we go to a trade show every year called Huntstock up in Westminster, Massachusetts. Great show if you're in the area. Like, great show. Come out. It's great. A lot of guys out there just shoot 220s.
Sure.
It's just their gun of choice. And they like the capability from like a terminal performance standpoint.
That's the Savage then?
Yeah. They're reasonably lightweight. They're hyper accurate. Everybody I talk to shoots AccuTips. And they love them. You know, like, I don't have more than a 150-yard shot. What else do I need? I want a bolt gun. I don't want to goof around with a 450 Bushmaster or 350 Legend or whatever. You know, it's not even on their radar. They want that 220. There's kind of a cultural bit behind those guns. As up there's also a huge following for 760 and 7600 pattern guns. You know, those are still super popular up there.
Those would be like the Remington pumps, right?
Yeah. So, you know, the commercial viability of the bolt gun in a shotgun chambering has certainly diminished, I'm positive, by greater than 50% over the past decade.
I mean, it's had to have fallen off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you just look at the list of states that, I mean, again, for a while, you need, like, it was the option, and now there's just better. So it's great. Here's what I'd say. If that's what you have, like if you were hunting one of those states and probably doing so very successfully with a very accurate and a high functioning bolt action shotgun, probably no need to switch it up.
No, not at all.
But if you're in the if you're in the market to start hunting one of these states, there's probably a better way to skin the cat with like a straight wall, or my goodness, one of these over 350 caliber center fires or whatever, you know.
In testing that we've done, and this is an aside, but like Ruger's American in 350 or 450 Bushmaster they're bananas accurate.
They're great.
Bananas accurate. Like, you want to touch a bunch of 250 grain Hornadies at 100 yards, make a little clover leaf out of 45 caliber straight wall, you buy a Ruger American and you buy a box of Hornady 250 SSTs in 450 Bushmaster, and they're just fantastic. They feed even better because it's a metallic cartridge. There's no plastic that varies in diameter down the length of the shell. It's much smaller. It's easier for the action to handle. Yeah, and that's what's killing these off. This one's dead and gone, which is a shame. Now they're very expensive. If you go on Gunbroker or Guns International or Guns.com, they're going for huge dollars, just because I think people know what they are and what they're capable of. But to your point, Mark, like, also look at it this way: if you've already invested in a 220, which is a reasonable budget gun, I mean they're in between 5 and 7 depending on how you get into them. You already have that. You got to spend another 5 on another gun, plus new ammo, plus new optic. Or if you maybe have a 150-yard shot, what difference does it make?
Right.
Because the terminal performance between the two is nil.
Buy another couple boxes of shells and off you go.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happening, is why they're still hanging around. Now, there are still subunits, like here in Wisconsin. If we hunt the Metro subunit, that's what you can use. I think you can use a pistol, and I think you can use a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
It is written as slug, in big bold letters. And so there's these like little micro units that dictate that. Now, Minnesota, from what I understand, and this is pretty fresh yet, but I think
we could use straight walls there too.
I'd have to look.
I'd have to look too.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't looked hard enough to know. I can tell you that. So don't quote me on any of that. But
I'll tell you this
because I
much.
haven't hunted those areas.
Yeah.
I bow hunted them.
If I was going to hunt the Metro subunit here, which is 30 minutes down the road from HQ, what I would hunt was this gun.
100%.
Yeah. Like I have straight wall guns, but they're not. I'm not going to go out and buy a Ruger American or build something for a straight wall application. I have this, and like I'm very comfortable to even 200 yards with it. So why change, right? There's a mule deer unit that I'm aware of that is slug only. There's actually two that I'm aware of that's slug only.
Very interesting.
Once I understood that, and once I learned where it was, it's not a place you're going to go kill some giant bucks, but you can hunt mule deer. And then I was really validated in the ownership of this thing, because then I'd figure out a way to shoot it probably to 250 very reliably.
Sure.
Just in case. And a good friend of mine, he's gone down. He borrowed my hunting partner's gun. He hunted muleys in it and killed one.
Interesting.
Yep. And it's pretty cool. So there's still pockets of use for them. Certainly diminished from what they were, as short as even a decade ago. And I'm sure that is, you're going to see that just continue on, and these are going to quickly and more quickly fade into obscurity.
Yeah, it's kind of a unfortunate reality, but then who knows, Ryan? We've seen the pendulum swing with, we'll say, like optics.
Yeah,
on
muzzleloader scopes,
right?
100%.
Yep.
Sweeping changes.
You can't. You can do a 1X.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, just like
no scope for you.
Well, or no, any scope for you.
Yeah.
You want to dial your muzzleloader for a 600-yard shot, have at her, and then back to no scope for you. Yeah. So I like this. This one that you have here on the table. I've got a A-bolt composite stalker in 6.5 Creedmoor Gasp.
Shoots great.
Yeah, shoots great.
It was a very early 6.5, wasn't it? Like first year run?
At the time, I want to say it was one of two, what I'd call off the rack production hunting rifles.
Yeah, your other option would have been like a TC.
In 6.5 Creedmoor. I don't even know. At the time, the only two that I was aware of, well, I think the Savage had a 6.5 Creedmoor, like their Weather Warrior. You could get that, I think, in 6.5 Creedmoor. And then when I got that Browning, it was a SHOT Show special.
Yeah, the first one I ever had in the shop was a TC. Was their Icon? No, the Icon's the budget one. What was their high-end one? No, I'm forgetting. No, it was an Icon.
Yeah, the Icon. The Compass was the budget one, right? I don't know.
Compass was a budget one, but we digress. In these days, because I don't go back to Minnesota to hunt anymore, I asked myself, what am I going to do with this thing?
Why don't you go? You killed 2 nice bucks out there and then just quit going.
Yeah, kind of.
You just cleaned up, fished out the hole, left.
Yeah. Yeah, back-to-back years. Pull 300 inches of whitetail off of a small farm, and he's like, yeah, it's probably pretty good. I do ask what the viability of the gun is. Like, where would I use it? And it's been loaned out a couple times. It went on a bear hunt in northern Wisconsin.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
Yeah.
Who used it for that?
Sam.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah.
Wild.
Yep.
Is that what he shot his bear with?
No, he ended up using a different shotgun. So
that was a big bear. That was a nice one.
Dandy bear. A friend of mine hunted in Canada, also bears, and he brought he had a Marlin as well. He brought that. And then I think about that mule deer unit, and I was like, well, I'll keep that in the back of my head as a potential for it. And then, there's still, around here, some of the spots that you and I have bounced around hunting turkeys, like you're going to get a 50-yard shot.
Sure.
The thing's going to be like shooting an anvil at them at 1,600 feet per second. It's going to be great.
Perfect.
And it's a fun gun. It's a super neat gun to shoot. It sucks to shoot because it does have a significant amount of recoil.
Yeah, I would believe that.
Yeah. But it's a neat gun. It's a super neat gun. I quite like it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes it's just fun to break stuff out for the sake of, breaking it out.
That thing has not seen the light of day because it was in the very back of the safe. It was up against.
I doubt you've done anything with it since shot that deer, I imagine.
It's been a minute. I think we did a Scope This Gun episode on it.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's cool gun. And every so often I chat with the customer. He's like, I'm wondering. He said, I got this neat bolt action 12 gauge thing. And I was like, what is it? A Savage? A Marlin? A Mossberg? What do you see, Mark?
I didn't know I was trying to see if it came with that recoil pad.
Yeah, it's factory.
Nice.
They made a Woodstock version. It's a very attractive gun. The Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's nifty.
I had a X-Bolt Hunter in 243, but I sold it.
Sure. It's kind of the skinny on bolt action shotguns. They do exist in a barely obscure standpoint by now.
I'm glad for this. I'm glad Savage carries the torch. But then I have to ask, for how long? How long does this make sense for them?
It's a few legislative swipes away from being over. But aren't we all?
I try to always end on a positive note.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like a state regulation change comes in, which would be an allowance. This is a good change. And then, that's it. But to your point, and we've seen this in the 11 years I've been here, the 15 years you've been here, especially the 15 you've been in here, that optics example is a really good one. They went from you can have a non-magnified optic, so a 1X system, to whatever you want, back to a 1X. And that was a stroke of a pen. And so I could see, especially a state like Minnesota, which is a little bit goofy, saying yep, you guys can use rifles. Nope, you can't anymore.
Right.
On to that point, the state left it up to the individual county to dictate whether or not that county will be slug allowance only or rifle. So, and there's still more to come on that because it's not going to be in effect for the 25 season, which is just a couple months away. So it'll be for 26 season. So certain counties can mandate that in fact it remains slug, muzzleloader, or pistol only.
I kind of, whatever, showed a level of exasperation with that. Not because I care that a county dictate. We just don't need things to be more complex. I bought this rifle, I brought this rifle, but we're going to be over here today, so now I had to bring 2 rifles, or I didn't know I couldn't do that over here because I've been doing it over, you know what I mean? It's just, we make things a little bit overcomplicated.
Yeah, unnecessarily so. Something I always get a kick out of. So I left that state in 2014 to come here, and forever the laws were just bizarre from a hunting standpoint. And I remember when 22 centerfire became legal means of take for deer in Minnesota.
Okay.
In the pistol zones, what that meant is a FN 5.7, good to go. Also, 25 ACP, which is more anemic than 22 LR. A 22 LR likely represents a better ballistic solution than 25 ACP. Good to go. If you get caught with a Marlin 1894 in 44 Magnum, go to jail. It was very evident.
Nobody said it had to make sense.
It was very evident that the policymakers at that point in time were not gun guys or gals. And FN 5.7, yeah, it's fine. Hunt deer with it. It's cool.
Yeah, no, that's good.
5.7 in a carbine, go to jail. 44 mag wheel gun, totally fine. Oh, let me do you one better. Savage Striker, 300 Wisdom. Yep, you hunt deer with it all day long down here in the slug, pistol, and muzzleloader zone. And that's my favorite compare and contrast is they chambered the Striker in Wisdom.
I can't call it.
And that would be legitimate legal means of take. But again,
Everybody always makes an exception for the wisdom, Ryan.
well, sure. I mean, that is truthfully a 600-yard solution.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the 150-ish yard Marlin in 357 or 44 mag, whew, I caught you red-handed.
You going to jail now?
Yeah. I always thought it would be funny. I used to goof with a conservation officer buddy of mine, big gun guy and a phenomenal enforcer, really great dude. It's like, I should just walk around with a pocket Browning. I'm like, that'd be my deer gun. Something so useless.
I would think that, yes, by the letter of the law, doubtful anybody was partaking in, some of those more absurd options.
Yeah, I certainly don't think so. No, but it did bring a smile to my face.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's right. The 25 ACP, good to hook. 44 mag lever gun.
Mm-mm.
No. You're gonna see the judge, which is just bizarre. So stick to your shotguns, at least for one more year, Minnesota. Just hold on tight. Yeah.
Cool stuff, man.
Yep. At a time, they were the coolest solution to getting you more than what your rifled slug or your cantilever slug barrel gun could get you. Hyper accurate, and then when paired with the right ammunition, just crazy deadly at extended distances.
And there is just something about sending that hunk of lead downrange. It is significant.
It's fun to shoot the steel at Winnequa with it.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Oh yeah, it's authoritative. Just there's a lot of bucket behind that.
A lot of
thing.
mass.
Yeah. 300 grain pill.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, there you have it, everybody. Our little summary of bolt action shotguns. Do you live in an area where it is an option, the only option? Is New York still the only true slug-only state? Let us know. Because like we were talking about earlier, with all these different regulations, every state is different. It changes year to year. Have you been using one? Do you like it? Were you just so relieved when you were able to finally use a straight wall, or even just like here in Wisconsin, it's like went from slugs to no, just wide open. What do you want to use? Go for it.
Did you buck the system and say, I'm not getting rid of my Savage 210, 220, 212?
Yeah, you just going with it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Another couple notable mentions.
Oh, what do you got?
I know somebody listening to this has a Marlin Goose or Super Goose gun.
Okay. I don't know that one.
Oh, man. So a couple buddies of mine from my hometown, we did a lot of waterfowl hunting. And like once a year, we'd do this thing where we'd put out all of our decoys. So we showed up at a lake. It's called Bear Lake. It's actually a great duck spot. Really good late season diver hole. A lot of times it freezes last. It's got two springs that feed it, or two sloughs that feed it, so the water's kind of warm coming in there. And so like as the season would get later on, and like your ducks that were coming through were like high altitude migrators, it would usually be, I think it's 1, 2, at least 3 groups of 2, if not 4 groups of 2 or 3. We would go out there, we'd bring every decoy we had. And like there were so many cool like shoreline features on this lake. So there was like a cattail edge that then turned into a timbered overhang edge with some standing timber in the water, that then turned into like a sandy beach, that then turned into like a pocketed like marshy wetland area. And then there in the middle of it was this raft of emergent bulrush that a muskrat had built a super palace on. And that was my buddy Travis and my like hot spot. So you could throw, a half a dozen to a dozen puddle duck decoys right at the emergent veg, because the water was maybe, at the shallowest 2.5 feet, and then it would quickly taper off. And then we'd run these huge strings of diver deeks out. We'd create big J hooks or big X's. And we would hunt that spot. Like that was a very routine spot. Well, you get like the 3 or 4 groups out there. And then like, I think my buddy and I we had 12 dozen diver decoys. And I think we probably had like 4 to 6 dozen puddler decoys, smattering of teal, mallard, all this stuff.
This doesn't end with you shooting slugs at waterfowl, does it?
No.
Okay.
We're getting to that point.
Okay.
And then floating goose decoys. And then each group would have, whatever decoys they had. And then like the beach group had shells and full bodies. And then they would string out into the water. And it looked hilarious. It looked like you were driving by some sort of wildlife refuge. And then like we'd kill like 4 ducks. And anyway, so those guys like to have a lot of fun. So they'd come into the shop that I worked at looking for Marlin goose guns and super goose guns. These bolt action 36-inch barreled shotguns. And they held 3 shells.
Reminds me of those Metro guns that I used to see advertised.
We used to
in the
sell
back
those
of
too.
How long were the barrels on those things?
So there's
They're like 6 foot long.
Yeah. So with the goose guns, they would do the goose and super goose hunts. So it's usually field hunting, and these are bolt actions. And it was fun when the finisher blinds would open up, and you just see this wizard staff come up out of the ground. And they were cool and they were effective. Like at a time, like if you were looking, like think the introduction of steel shot onto the American waterfowling landscapes, like 1988. Steel shot was garbage, and garbage. And like, what could we do to make a more effective solution? And it's like, well, give it a 36-inch long barrel and kind of like partridge sights and a bolt action. And those guys would peel birds out of the sky like you wouldn't believe. So that was there was viability in that, and that was kind of fun to do that. But on Metro barrels, so we sold Metro barrel systems and then Metro chokes. And I think the chokes, I was just talking to somebody about Metro tubes the other day. I think they were 36 inches long. And a true regret that I have is we bought at that shop, a distribution warehouse leftover of Metro tubes, just the chokes. And so they were 36 inches long themselves. And what it is, it's a super long choke tube that is ported progressively. And that porting disperses gases in a slow manner. And the result is effectively a suppressor.
Right.
And they work. And they work really well. They were so cool and so effective that Federal had produced a tungsten loading that was subsonic.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Of course, when we bought the Metro barrels, we also bought the remaining quantity of the subsonic tungsten. And so we're out hunting with them. And when you were far enough away from them when they went off, it sounded like it was like dunk. It was not a boom.
That's so cool.
It's a dunk. And I never bought one. I just I'll give it a go. And I think at the time I was shooting like Winchester Super X2s. And so there was one in the box for an Invector Plus, and I was like, yeah, I'll put it on, see what it's like in the morning. And I was like, yeah, it was novel. It's a lot to manage when you're sitting in a finisher blind. And I didn't buy one. And we were selling these things for like maybe $80.
Right.
But when they were new, they were hundreds of dollars. And we just slowly kind of sold the inventory off. At the time, I think we could still retail gun parts on eBay and then Gunbroker. And that giant lot of these goofy things just slowly went away.
That's what I need. You haven't been to my, our current home either, but oh boy, about on the daily, we get just a lot of geese.
Yeah.
They fly pretty low to the deck over the house.
Chunk.
Could have a, not that I wouldn't. I'm sure there's an ordinance.
But do you know there's not?
Yeah. There's no way.
But they were cool. I never bought one. And then they hypervaluated. And about once a year, I'll go online. I'll just type in like Metro barrel. and I'll look like $300. It's like, total novelty, but would have been cool.
Yeah, well, and then there you go, novelty. Like when are you actually going to use it? Probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shotgun suppressor technology is catching up pretty damn quick.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, now there you have it, everybody.
Yeah.
Bolt action, slug guns, and a little bit of
waterfowl history.
A little bit of waterfowl history. Yeah, like I said, let us know. What have you been using? You still using it? You think they're cool? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, happy hunting and shooting. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
See.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.